football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheeks as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when she was here on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish. Time to dive into the latest news, notes, information surrounding the world of sports, sports betting, and a whole lot more. Mark Zinno will be with us a little bit later in the program. We'll get into the latest in the college football playoff, also break down the NFL with Jacob Camenker and let you hear from some of the participants involved in last night's National Football League game, and that's probably a good place to start. What a game it was last night. Good game on Monday Night Football. Dallas and Cincinnati living up to the billing. 47 points scored between the two teams, and give credit to the Cincinnati Bengals playing for probably nothing at this point. Go on the road and win 27-20. Very big game yesterday for both Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Chase with over 170 receiving yards and a couple of touchdowns as well. Burrow has had an MVP-type season, unfortunately playing for a team that looks like they'll finish under 500 at the end of the year. But needless to say, Burrow feels good about the performance. He told reporters post-game they're still alive in this thing until they tell him they're not.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to win. Obviously we're still not where we want to be. It's a nice win, but potentially meaningless.
Earlier this week, we talked a little bit about how in prime time, that's where the perception of this team is built from other teams around the league. What do you think you showed the rest of the league tonight?
We're going to be explosive on offense. That's a defense that's been banged up all year, and they got all their guys back now. They got Micah, they got Diggs, they got Bland. They got all their guys, and you could feel it tonight. That's a good explosive front and makes it tough. I like how we played. We got to finish a couple of those drives in the end zone where we kicked a couple field goals. That was disappointing. So we left some out there, but nice to get a win.
How good does it feel, Joe, to get a break and be able to go out on the field and finish a game like that?
Yeah, I couldn't believe we got a break. That was crazy the way that happened. It's nice to get one. We haven't got many over the last couple of years, so nice to get one.
And meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys continue to invent new ways to lose. Last night looked like they had the game in hand early on. Late in the game, not so much. A block punt. Yeah, it was blunt, I guess you could say. A block punt turned out to be the reason why they end up losing the game 27-20. It was addressed by the head coach, Mike McCarthy, afterward.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we actually had a return called. The tackle released. The guard went down. The big gap was exposed. Nick took it. And then we were, able to get the block. AO was in a vice situation. And then, he heard the roar of the crowd. And when he turned, he understands the role, of crossing once the ball crosses the line. His response was when he turned, when he heard the crowd, the ball was there and he reacted to it. So obviously a big play in the game.
Oh, I'm hurt. Man, I won't wish this on anybody. Man, you can't even put that into words, bro, to be honest. I mean, I wasn't even really grasping what was going on. Nick made a great play, and then, I asked the ref, explain what happened. He told me that we touched the ball. It was definitely a huge momentum shift. I mean, we just caught a huge stop. We're going to a 2-minute drill. It's just real hard to, you think to believe you could pull that game out from that situation. That hurts.
Cowboys season probably ended at home last night. They have had a really tough time playing at AT&T Stadium this season. Meanwhile, South Carolina's Gamecocks get good news. Outside of the bad news that they didn't qualify for the college football playoff. They're getting their edge rusher back, Dylan Stewart. He is a freshman, folks, and this is what it sounds like in the new world of the NIL deals. He's agreed to stay with the Gamecocks for the 2025 season. What that sounds like is maybe he had an offer to leave and get more money. I don't know how this works these days. He's supposed to receive between $1 million and $1.5 million to stay. Again, college football contracts. This is the new world that we are living in. Also, the Heisman Trophy Award is upon us here. It looks like Travis Hunter is going to win. He's the overwhelming favorite. He's minus 400. They announced the finalists yesterday. It's going to be Hunter, Dylan Gabriel, Ashton Genty, running back on Boise State, and Miami's Cam Ward. Those are the finalists. Meanwhile, Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham has entered the NFL draft. He's supposed to be a first-round pick, maybe all the way at the top in the 2025 NFL draft. Bill Belichick, meanwhile, doing more than flirting with the University of North Carolina, was asked on the Pat McAfee show yesterday if he's going to take the job. He said he's had some good conversations and kept saying, we'll see. So we will all see along with him. And Tyler Van Dyke is transferring again from Miami to Wisconsin and now somewhere else. He's entering the transfer portal. He has another year of eligibility remaining. Meanwhile, Duke quarterback Malik Murphy is entering the transfer portal as well. He had a school record 26 touchdown passes. Duke was 9-3. He's probably going to be one of the most polished players at quarterback in the portal and probably the highest paid player too. Dylan Raiola has rebuffed rumors that he's leaving Nebraska. He says he's all in. He's going back to the Cornhuskers next year. And former Auburn head coach Brian Harsin is going to become the new offensive coordinator at the University of California. Meanwhile, some sad news for this poor young guy in the NFL, running back Jonathan Brooks on the Carolina Panthers. He tore his ACL again. This is the second time in 2 years. He was a second-round pick out of Texas, going to miss a year of time, and hopefully he can get back on the field at some point for next year, but that seems to be questionable. Meanwhile, A.J. Brown has criticized the Eagles' passing game, and Brandon Graham says his comments on Jalen Hurts and Brown were a mistake. What he was alluding to is the fact that he said that the person that was complaining, referring to A.J. Brown, needs to be accountable, and went on to say that they don't have a good relationship between Brown and Hurts. Who knew? Either way, he followed up with an apology and said that he just wants to win and didn't put things in a good light. But now we know the relationship is out there between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. Not a great job there. The Las Vegas Raiders probably going to have a new quarterback this week. Aiden O'Connell has a bone bruise. His timeline remains unclear to return to action. Raiders have already gone through Minshew and O'Connell, and they'll go through some more this week. Veteran quarterback Steven Nelson has unretired. He signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. Good timing. He's got 13 career interceptions, and the Chiefs are going to the playoffs. Tonight in the NBA Cup, are you focused on the NBA Cup? If so, I have good news for you because the Knicks go into Toronto. They beat the Raptors 113-108. They had a very big fourth quarter. The quarterfinals of the NBA Cup are also tonight. Giannis and the Bucks, 6.5-point home favorites against the Magic, and the Mavericks are 4.5 road dogs against Oklahoma City. These are the quarterfinals of this midseason NBA Cup. In terms of the Dodgers, they're still looking at free agency. They've signed a couple of players. They're probably going to sign some more. Shohei Ohtani will be ready to hit when the season begins. The announcement comes yesterday from manager Dave Roberts. Still unclear on the pitching, but he is expected to pitch next year without a doubt. Nolan Arenado appears to be on the move. The multi-gold glover, probably best defensive third baseman in the last 20 years. They're exploring a trade with him right now. He's 33 years old. He's owed $27 million in 2 years from now, $32 million this year, $15 million in 2028. So they're going to have to find a trade partner and maybe eat some money as well. Jordan Romano, closer of the Toronto Blue Jays, has signed a one-year deal with the Philadelphia Phillies. $8.5 million is the contract there, and Terry Francona says he's ready to go. He's going to be manager of the Cincinnati Reds, he told reporters yesterday in Dallas at the winter meetings. In terms of some sports betting news, BetMGM has hired away Rocket Mortgage executive Casey Hurbis as their new chief marketing officer. Also, there is a woman involved in a lawsuit. Get this. She is suing DraftKings for enabling her husband's gambling problem, saying they should have stopped him from gambling. Okay, good luck with that. Iowa sports betting revenue more than doubles in November, and Penn Gaming has donated $500,000 to the HBCU for STEM education programming, kickstarting a brand new campaign. Our campaign here on NewsWire continues. We'll have Bill Bender coming up next from Sporting News. We'll go over the very latest in college football next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
He also said that the Bears head coaching opening would be the most coveted job after the season.
They'll let that guy stay. I heard today that they were very worried about screwing up Caleb Williams, so that he likes this guy Brown so much that they may let him stay as the head coach. What a disaster that'll turn into.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
College football playoffs are now set, 12 teams in. Let's get to the latest with Bill Bender as we take a look at some of the upcoming matchups and talk about what happened on Saturday. Bill, great to have you back here on NewsWire. And, things did go a little bit sideways. I think the last time we talked, we had Alabama in the playoff. They are now out. That great game between Clemson and SMU really determined the fate of them, as SMU is in, and Alabama really has nothing to do except for complain. But what is there to complain about? They lost 3 games, and, I kind of understand the committee's thinking on this.
Yeah, because they didn't set a bad precedent. Had they put Alabama in over SMU, they're basically telling the ACC, your regular season did not matter at all. And SMU won all 8 games in the regular season in conference play, had a nice comeback in the second half. I'm going to be honest, Craig, if Alabama and SMU played each other in the first round, I would pick Alabama to win that football game. But there has to be consequences for losing the games. And that 24-3 loss to Oklahoma probably was the dagger for Alabama because we know how inconsistent they were on the road. SMU deserves to be in. I was happy how happy Dabo Swinney was for SMU. I heard that story that he was cheering that. So good for the ACC, but SMU will definitely be monitored very closely by those in Oxford and Columbia and Tuscaloosa in the playoff.
Yeah, without a doubt, I think people think that all of those teams would be favored over SMU in the SEC conference. 2 of those teams that both got in, Georgia beats Texas 22-19, a game that was a slog for the most part, and then was drama-filled at the end. Rarely do you see an injured quarterback have to play in a game where you know he's not going to pass. And Carson Beck, who was hurt in this game, came in the end just to hand the ball off so Georgia could win. But Beck did not play that well himself. And, Bill, this has been the story for the Bulldogs all season long. They released an injury report that says that he has an injury to his UCL and nothing more. Is Beck going to play for Georgia in the bowl game? And, Bill, I know this sounds crazy, but does it matter? Is their backup quarterback just as good?
Right. I mean, that's that. I don't know that it matters. I'm going to say that we know it matters, but the bigger story was Trevor Etienne getting going on the ground. Gunnar Stockton played fine. Their offense was functional with him at quarterback, and they didn't turn the ball over other than one really bad interception with about 2:30 left in the game. Great play by Jahdae Barron. But Georgia, in those 2 games against Texas, Texas could not run the ball at all. I think 52 yards rushing between the 2 games. Quinn Ewers, the only 2 games this season where he was limited to less than 60% completion percentage against Georgia. Their home run swing is still very good. I think there might be some value in betting on them. The game of the playoff that will determine everything to me, and you're going to laugh, it's going to be when Notre Dame beats Indiana and plays Georgia. The winner of that game, really good shot to win a national championship.
I think right now the other team that's probably the leader in the clubhouse to win the championship on the FanDuel Sportsbook, although it's close, are the Oregon Ducks. They beat Penn State 45-37. Their offense certainly did the job, but their defense came up a little bit short against Penn State. And right now, the way that I look at Oregon, Bill, is I understand that they're the favorite, but I don't know that there's necessarily a reason for me to take them at this point. I definitely feel like they have a chance to win a game, Bill, but can they run the table here?
Well, they ran the table in the regular season. If you'd have told me the Big Ten championship game would have had 992 total yards. A shootout favors Oregon every time, though. You know, Dylan Gabriel threw 4 touchdowns. They ran the ball effectively. Penn State, not used to playing in games like that. Oregon, that's every year they play in a handful of shootouts like that. They did that against Boise State. I think there is some value in them because they are kind of a boring pick despite being 13-0. We've never seen a 16-0 team in college football. We saw 5 15-0 teams during the 4-team era, and they are good enough on both sides to win. Their draw is not necessarily friendly. I hate that first game for them, either a rematch for Ohio State, who was a 1-point loss to them earlier in the year, or Tennessee, who has a physical rushing attack and defense. So kind of like that basketball game in the tournament where they catch a tough second-round game.
Yeah, could be the case. Let's take a look at the first-round matchups. These are on December the 20th. That's when they begin. Clemson goes to Texas, SMU at Penn State, Indiana at Notre Dame, Tennessee at Ohio State. Which, Bill, is your favorite of these games?
Oh, Tennessee, Ohio State. I'll be covering that for Sporting News. Just the anticipation of having an SEC school come to Big Ten country where it's been cold up here for the last 2 weeks. How does Ohio State respond after the hangover from the loss to Michigan against this, like I said, a physical Tennessee team with Dylan Sampson? They run the ball effectively. Nico Iamaleava can throw the ball down the field. How does he play, a young quarterback, play against 100,000 at Ohio State? Indiana Notre Dame is also intriguing to me, Craig, from the standpoint that the Hoosiers, how do they show up in this in-state game? Does Curtis Rourke press that Notre Dame secondary a little bit? Do they learn from the Ohio State loss? And I think Curt Cignetti and the Hoosiers, I think that's going to be the closest game of the 4.
I do too. I really like Indiana, as you know, in that game because I just go against Notre Dame every time. All right, to win the Heisman, Travis Hunter is the best player in the country, and I understand he deserves to win it. But it's funny when we know who the Heisman winner is going to be, then we try to find reasons for somebody else to win. And I got to give Ashton Jeanty a ton of credit, man. He was awesome. He was awesome in that championship game too, but he's not going to win. I mean, Hunter is the closest comp to Charles Woodson, and Bill, I guess the only question is at the next level. Do you think Hunter will play more than Woodson did on offense and defense? Because we know that went away from Woodson pretty quickly when it went into the NFL. I think he played, 2-3 years of both?
Yeah, as we get into All-American season, the question is, do you put Hunter as a wide receiver or a cornerback or both? I don't think I've ever seen somebody – they have that all-purpose player position as well, so we're going to have to find a spot for Hunter on our Sporting News All-American team. I'm sure we will. Really impressed with Ashton Jeanty. And I think the 2 quarterbacks, while they might not end up ultimately winning the award, Cam Ward and Dylan Gabriel certainly deserving of being in New York for this ceremony. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, both of them had great years. 4 players, all deserving. It's just when you have a player like Hunter, it's hard to not give him the award, which I think that they will do on Saturday. Bill, thanks again for coming on NewsWire. We'll catch up again later in the week.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.
All right, coming up next, a big game in college basketball tonight. Ben Stevens has a preview when we return for the Sports Grid Sound Off.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
He also said that the Bears head coaching opening would be the most coveted job after the season.
They'll let that guy stay. I heard today that they were very worried about screwing up Caleb Williams, so that he likes this guy Brown so much that they may let him stay as the head coach. What a disaster that'll turn into.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish. South Carolina didn't make the college football playoff, and neither did Alabama. Both of their coaches, talking about their upcoming bowl game, had some things to say about the college football playoff. Also a preview of a game in college basketball tonight. Time now for the SportsGrid Sound Off. It's a rare scenario to have Alabama on the outside looking in, especially when you consider 12 teams made the college football playoff, not 2, not 4, not 6. That is the scenario right now that it's plaguing itself with the Crimson Tide. A lot of their fans upset they didn't get in. A lot of the players upset that they didn't get in the college football playoff. And Kalen DeBoer, the head coach, is upset too. But as he talked to the media yesterday, said the Tide really have no one to blame but themselves.
There's things that obviously we got to do and could have done this year, but got to make sure, it's not in other people's hands and, keep ourselves kind of focused on that next year. Just knowing that the process doesn't always end up how you think it is, how you think it's gonna. So had our banquet tonight with our guys. Haven't had a lot of like one-on-one talks and things like that, but certainly they share the same disappointment. But also looking forward to what lies ahead with our bowl opportunity, and obviously hoping it was going to be more than one game, but we got one more game together and going to make the most of it, whether it's this season, the 2024 team, or just building on it and preparing for the future and being better because of the opportunities we get here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how the athletic director at Alabama poses the upcoming schedules for the Crimson Tide, something that we have to keep an eye on for the future there. As far as South Carolina is concerned, they're going to be headed to Florida, Central Florida, in the Citrus Bowl to take on the University of Illinois. Shane Beamer gave us a preview of that matchup. Not exactly where they want to be, but something they can build on.
I don't want this to come across the wrong way that, man, I'm glad we didn't get in the playoff but in some ways, the playoff's tough. And I've said it in here before, or somebody asked me on an interview, may not have been in here, about the playoff. And the one thing that I didn't like about the playoff is if you play a first-round game and you lose, your season's over. And there is no bowl game. And the playoff, as great a town as South Bend, Indiana is, Indiana, the University of, is not going to South Bend to spend 4 days in South Bend on like a bowl trip. And who's playing Penn State? SMU. SMU is not going to go spend a week in State College and go visit Hershey, PA, and see like the chocolate factory and stuff. And bowl games are special. And the fact that we get to, and again, this isn't Shane saying, man, I'm glad I'm not in the bowl game because I get to do this. In a playoff. We would have loved to have been in a playoff. But the opportunity that we get to go spend a week in Orlando, we'll go down there on the 26th, I think, is when we arrive. So we got a week there together as a team, and our players and our coaches' families getting to experience all the amazing things there in Orlando or whatnot is an awesome opportunity that our players are really looking forward to. And that's why so many guys were looking forward to hopefully this game working out, which is why there was a lot of jubilation. There's a great word, jubilation, when this thing came out as well.
I think right now there's going to be probably few people that look at South Carolina in that matchup in the bowl game, and if they do play well, have some second thoughts about not putting them in the top 12. At least that's the way that I look at it. I thought South Carolina was one of those 3 teams in the SEC that deserved to get that shot. Meanwhile, let's preview the big game in the Big Ten tonight. We've got a matchup between Wisconsin and, speaking of, Illinois. Here's our very own Ben Stevens from the early line giving us a preview of the game.
A big-time Big Ten battle tonight in Champaign between Illinois and Wisconsin. 2 teams expected to contend for a Big Ten title throughout this season, and 2 teams that got off to great starts that have slowed down in the past week or so. Wisconsin was a perfect 8-0 before its Big Ten opener against Michigan. The Badgers dropped that game, and then a second consecutive game last week in the in-state but non-conference affair against Marquette. Illinois was off to a great start this season. Then in the Big Ten opener against their in-state foe in Northwestern on Friday night, about a couple of days ago in Evanston in overtime, the Wildcats victorious in that extra session. So both the Badgers and the Fighting Illini looking for Big Ten victory number 1 this season. Craig, back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Ben. Coming up next, we take a look at the National Football League with Jacob Camenker of USA Today. Next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
He also said that the Bears head coaching opening would be the most coveted job after the season.
They'll let that guy stay. I heard today that they were very worried about screwing up Caleb Williams, so that he likes this guy Brown so much that they may let him stay as the head coach. What a disaster that'll turn into.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. We got Jacob Camenker from USA Today in the house. You know, Jacob switched working venues this past year. And, I mean, look, I can't say that the articles, Jacob, that you're writing are any better or you look any different, but your picks, I mean, this year, I mean, that switch must have just, you know, gotten you where you needed to be, man, because if people tailed you all season long, they had a really good year. Can you keep it going through the playoffs here?
I'm hoping I can keep it going. We've had a lot of winning weeks, only a couple losing weeks. No, knock on wood, no weeks with double-digit losses yet. I think 7 and 9's been our worst. So hopefully we finish the season strong. Usually able to do that, but, you know, don't want to jinx anything here, man. But, yeah, no, we'll see. Hopefully the announcer's jinx doesn't come back to haunt us, right?
I just jinxed you there. You're going to miss the field goal. All right, so Bengals-Cowboys yesterday. I watched very intently, especially because I was down about 20 points, and I got it in the first quarter with Jamar Chase and Cooper Rush. Yes, I'm starting Cooper Rush, Jacob, in a fantasy league with two quarterbacks. That's how desperate things are for me. Yes, that is true. So beyond that, if you stayed tuned, you saw a really good game. It was fun. It was competitive. There were some mistakes. There were some incredible performances. Jamar Chase is clearly the best receiver going right now in the NFL. Cowboys actually seemed a lot more capable over the last couple of weeks, even though they lost this game. I think we're going to look back on this, Jacob, as a lost season for the Cincinnati Bengals because their offense is so darn good and their defense is just horrible.
It's really hard to watch this team play a lot because you watch the offense, like you said, and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are playing at a higher level than any quarterback-receiver combination in the league right now. I think if the Bengals were in playoff contention, we'd be talking about Joe Burrow as a legitimate MVP candidate with how well he's been playing. And Jamar Chase may be getting some of the talk that the Saquon Barkleys and Derrick Henrys of the world have been getting, where people might say, hey, he's got some MVP potential or Offensive Player of the Year ability as well. So I agree with you. It's going to be a lost season. It's just a shame to see such a great offensive season go to waste. But the Bengals defense just has a lot of problems with it. Their linebackers are getting older and slower. The interior defensive line dealt with a lot of injuries, and now the secondary and cornerback room is really just super thin because of injuries. So it's been a down year for them, but they're still a lot of fun to watch, especially if you have them in fantasy. And they were able to pull out that win. Jamar Chase was just unbelievable against the Cowboys. It felt like every time Joe Burrow threw a pass, it was right exactly where Jamar Chase needed to go and get it. I can only remember one time when he was thrown to and he didn't catch the pass. That was because he was interfered with. So, yeah, the Bengals are going to be a tough team to beat down the stretch. They're going to play a lot of high-scoring games. But, yeah, it's just a shame they couldn't pull out a couple more wins earlier in the year to make it a little more exciting of a playoff race, right?
Yep, don't want to play them down the stretch, but I don't think they're getting in. On the flip side, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have won a few in a row. The Falcons have lost a few in a row, so they're in the better spot and now have a chance, I think, to make the playoffs. Saints look like they won't have Derek Carr going into this week. They beat the Raiders pretty handedly this past week. I wouldn't say the Raiders are a bye right now, Jacob. It does feel like 2 out of every 3 weeks the Raiders play, they're non-competitive. This was one of them in this one. Does Tampa Bay have enough to keep these vibes going here at this point? Because I feel like they still have a chance.
I think they do. I think they're looking really good right now. And it's another situation where this offense has really come together. Last year, they were centered almost entirely around the passing game with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin being great weapons for Baker Mayfield. This year, Mayfield has kind of not taken a step back or anything, but he's had to adjust to not having Chris Godwin and Mike Evans long term. So they become a more run-heavy team. Bucky Irving's really provided them a boost. And we've seen that really help their defense out too, because Buccaneers have been able to sustain more drives. They haven't had those really fast drives constantly where they're getting points, but only on the field for a few minutes. So I think time of possession is really helping them. And just with the direction the Falcons are going in and Kirk Cousins' struggles, I mean, over the last 4 games, Kirk Cousins has not thrown a touchdown pass and has thrown 8 interceptions, which is just mind-boggling. The only quarterback currently in the NFL that has more consecutive games with 0 touchdowns and an interception than Kirk Cousins is Mac Jones. And he is paid a lot differently than Mac Jones. So the Falcons cannot be happy with the production they're getting out of him. But as long as Cousins stays cold, I think the Buccaneers have established themselves as the team to beat. Again, if they had beaten the Falcons in one of the 2 games they played earlier in the year, you probably feel a little better about their chances of winning the division. But I think they have the upper hand right now. I just think the Falcons are fading and the Buccaneers are kind of solidifying their identity at the exact right time.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's fair to say that the Falcons still have a talented team and can win all their games down the stretch and finish 10-7, but that's what's probably going to be required for them to win the division. Right now, they're on the outside looking in for both the division and the wild card. The Vikings are going to make the playoffs, and so are the Packers. I'll assume Washington is, although the Rams think that they'll have something to say about it. We'll find out about them, I think, this week. And then the Falcons, the Cardinals, and 49ers are on the back end. And something still, I don't know why, I still look at the 49ers and Jacob, and I think they could still win every game. The rest of the season finish 10-7 and surprise us. But you know how I feel about Washington. I'm not going to get off that train right now. Now they got a bye too. They were one of the last teams to get a bye. Do you think it is Vikings, Packers, Commanders? Do you leave the window open for the Rams to jump in at the end, or someone else?
I would leave the window open for the Rams. They're kind of the team that I've been looking at in the NFC West the whole time, that I've said this team, if they can stay healthy, has what it takes to win the division, because the Seahawks have a young coach. They have a young team overall, and they're not the most explosive offense. But I look at the Rams, and you take that offense with Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, and Puka Nacua, who's been playing out of his mind lately. There are not many teams that could allow 6 touchdowns to Josh Allen and end up winning that game. I think the Rams have the personnel needed to outscore maybe any team in the league, so that makes them dangerous down the stretch. They're also in control of their own destiny. I think they have the 23rd hardest remaining schedule, so 10th easiest. So that's going to give them a chance to kind of pick up some wins at the end of the year, at least put pressure on Washington. But I think the bigger thing to watch is they're just a game back of the Seahawks. They own the tiebreaker, and those 2 teams play in Week 18. So I think we might end up with a win-and-in scenario for the Seahawks and Rams in that game, though the Seahawks have a really tough schedule. I think they play the entire NFC North the next 3 weeks. So that's going to be really difficult for them. But I like the Rams to kind of be that team that knocks out either Seattle or Washington there. I think they're the team to watch down the stretch.
All right, so let's get your pick for this week then, Jacob. They're 2.5-point underdogs at San Francisco this week. 49ers played much better against the Bears this past week, total of 48.5. They're down to their 14th string running back in San Francisco. I'm not sure that it matters. at this point. If Garendo will play, or if it'll be the guy's name I can't pronounce, or someone else, or Garrison Hurst. You tell me, William Floyd. I don't know how far back we're gonna find some running back to play for San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at a Patrick Taylor, Israel Abanikanda. That's what we're looking at running back for San Francisco. So it's not the most exciting opportunity in the world, but Kyle Shanahan's running game always seems to succeed. We saw that with Garendo last week. So 49ers are going to keep this game close. I still like the Rams in this spot, though. I just think they're the more complete team right now. And if Trent Williams and Nick Bosa are out, it's just going to be a little bit hard to trust the 49ers. They're coming off a big emotional win against the Bears. I know that the Rams are doing the same thing, having come off that win against the Bills. But I just think the Rams are better kind of constructed at this point to get a win over the 49ers. So I'm going to back them, but I do think the spread's accurate. It's going to be a close game. Both teams are going to fight hard.
All right, Jacob, thanks again for coming on NewsWire. Really appreciate it. We'll see you again next week.
All right, thanks, Greg. Take care.
All right, Jacob Camenker with us here on the show. A couple of published reports out there, and again, just rumor at this point, not factual, that it looks like there's a chance that we could get some resolution with Bill Belichick potentially taking or not taking that head coaching gig at the University of North Carolina. So my suggestion is tune in to Scott Farrell, 3 o'clock Eastern, as he'll have the very latest on that. We'll be back with Mark Zinno next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
He also said that the Bears head coaching opening would be the most coveted job after the season.
They'll let that guy stay. I heard today that they were very worried about screwing up Caleb Williams, so that he likes this guy Brown so much that they may let him stay as the head coach. What a disaster that'll turn into.
Farrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire. We got Mark Zinno in the house. Can't wait to chop it up about the college football playoff. We know all the teams. We've got lines on the games, too. Mark, thanks again for coming on NewsWire. What do you think? I mean, did anything jump out to you about the matchups? I mean, can we get past who's in and who's out at this point? I mean, there's going to be crying no matter what. If it's 2 teams, 4 teams, 12 teams, 24 teams.
Sure.
Are you excited? Like, how do you feel about seeing this? First time for all of us.
I mean, look, I'm not necessarily upset about the 12 teams that got in per se. What I'm upset about is the villains of college football won out and made this actual playoff bracket a joke. And what I mean by that, the villains here are the four major conference commissioners of the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12. Because in this whole structure, particularly the Big 12 and the ACC conference commissioners were the biggest whiners in the room going, oh, we don't have a chance to win a national playoff at 4 teams. Oh, we can't ever get in. We're always left out. We want an automatic bid. Okay, well, you got your automatic bid. And what you got here is absolute silliness. Like if you were going to give an automatic bid to the Big 12, the ACC, and a group of 5 team, fine. If they are not ranked in the top 8 spots, then guess what? Or the top 10 spots, guess what? They're 10, 11, and 12. That's where they are. That's where your automatic bid is, 10, 11, and 12. If you're ranked anything below that, that's where you go. Because the idea that Boise got a bye here is a joke. That's a joke to me. Boise would lose outright to every team in this tournament, probably. Every single one of them. In any game they play. And they get a first-round bye, that's a joke. It really is. That's frustrating. I think that's a flaw. If you want to give an automatic bid, fine. But you don't get a first-round bye in this thing. Like, that's just laughable. I mean, you can look at their odds right there on the screen to win it. They have the longest odds of everybody. So they would be an underdog to every team in this tournament. And I already seen a look-ahead line that Boise's a 3-point dog no matter who they play. So, I mean, that to me, I think they got it wrong with the automatic bids and the first-round buys. And it also says a lot that the 2 easiest paths, in my opinion, to the finals belong to the 2 seed in Georgia and the 5 seed in Texas. That's it. I mean, Georgia's toughest test on the way out may be Penn State. That's it.
All right. Let's break down the point spreads because we got some of them here to review in the first round. They came out on Monday. Texas, 10.5-point favorites against Clemson. Tigers played a very exciting game against SMU, who will go on the road. That's a tough spot to go up against Penn State. Penn State is 8.5-point favorites in that one. Mark, I'm pretty much on the show always clowning Notre Dame, so I'm probably going to take Indiana here on the road, getting 7.5 points. I always feel like they're the most overvalued team in college. And then a great matchup here, boy, Tennessee against Ohio State. I mean, who are the Buckeyes to be laying 7.5? That was my first thought there too. I don't know. What are your thoughts here on these first 4?
Well, again, remember the home field advantage plays a big part in these numbers, and that's really what it boils down to. So, yes, Ohio State at home in the Horseshoe, a place where Tennessee never goes, and the unfamiliarity of going there certainly leads to Ohio State being a little bit of a heavier favorite than what we expect. I mean, my first look with Clemson and Texas here was probably Clemson's team total under, right? I mean, there's a world where we look at Clemson and we forget the fact that in their opening game of the season against Georgia, they got dominated and only scored 3 points. Now, the last time I checked, that Texas defense, and the one I saw that show up on Saturday, that should have won their football game in the SEC championship against Georgia. It's a hell of a lot better than that Georgia defense. I'm not sure how Clemson scores. I don't know if Clemson is ready for what they're about to walk into when it comes to this level of SEC defense, because the Georgia defense, they held them to 3 points, as we found out, ain't that good. It's not that good of a defense. So that's the way I look there. The other game that interests me the most, or the other, side that interests me the most in the first round is the Penn State-Clemson over. I think that's a really good look right now. Penn State obviously can score. Look, if they could put up, 35, 40 points on Oregon, come on. I mean, no disrespect. I love Rhett Lashley, but they can't slow down. And Clemson was able to put up 34 on them. They're not going to slow down Penn State. And although Penn State's offense is very good, we know SMU can score. So Penn State's defense, rather, is very good. We know SMU can score. I think it's a low total. I think anything under 56 is playable there.
Yeah, I think SMU gets off to a better start against Clemson. We're not even talking about Clemson in this college football playoff. I mean, that's what happened over the weekend. So I'm not going to take Oregon to win this thing. I feel like it's kind of March Madness, right now in December and January. Their path is having to go through some pretty good teams. I'm here to tell you, I mean, Arizona State's playing such good football at this point. I don't know. I think Oregon is one and done here, Mark. I don't know. I don't see them winning the championship.
I mean, look, I think they get through their quarterfinal matchup against Tennessee or Ohio State. However, again, the other part I mentioned a moment ago, the 2 seed has an easiest path. I think the second easiest path to me is the 5 seed in Texas. They'll beat Clemson. They'll wax Arizona State. And oh, by the way, if Ohio State gets past Oregon, Texas isn't even playing the number 1 team in the nation. So, I mean, in reality, this whole thing is setting up for the third matchup between Texas and Georgia, in my opinion. That's the way I see it. If I had a future on the 2 teams in the final right now, Texas and Georgia would be my bet.
All right. So Texas is the favorite along with Georgia. They're both plus 360. Oregon plus 380. OSU is 5-1. Penn State 6-1. And then go ahead and put money on Notre Dame and lose that at 12-1. Go have fun. That's not happening.
Well, I mean, look, Notre Dame's path. Georgia may be the most susceptible of the top 4 teams in, to be honest with you.
Well, now, yeah.
They're not the Georgia team we're used to seeing. They got darn lucky on Saturday. There's no other way around it. They did not deserve to win that game. They got lucky. And Texas, because they're coached by Steve Sarkisian, Sark gonna Sark, and he sarked. And so Texas is now the 5 seed, not the 2 seed.
Yeah, Beck being out. I mean, we got the news on Monday that we didn't actually get any news. It just said he has a UCL injury, right? That's it.
Right, yeah. So, I don't think he's playing, but they may be better without him.
We'll see. Yeah, he hasn't played. Had a good year. Thanks, Mark, for coming on.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
He also said that the Bears head coaching opening would be the most coveted job after the season.
They'll let that guy stay. I heard today that they were very worried about screwing up Caleb Williams, so that he likes this guy Brown so much that they may let him stay as the head coach. What a disaster that'll turn into.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. The Notre Dame playoff game is going to look and sound different. More on that. Also, we will talk a little Mississippi football. And how does a bowl game in Detroit sound to you? Time now for some last licks. Well, Notre Dame football has one of the richest college football TV contracts in sports. In fact, for those of you who are unfamiliar, it just means that you haven't watched college football pretty much ever, because Notre Dame has been airing exclusively on television on NBC. Now, through the years, it's changed a little bit because their games have streamed on the Peacock network, and so you can watch all their games there, but that is essentially owned and operated from NBC. But Indiana, folks, is going to be broadcasting Indiana, Notre Dame, that game, is going to be broadcast on ESPN. And this is the first time that you're going to see Notre Dame football broadcast from a network or on a network since 1990 on someone else other than NBC. So the look and feel will be different, but in the end, Notre Dame football is the gift that keeps on giving. They're going to lose to Indiana. They're going to get knocked out, and everyone's going to say, why did we fall for Notre Dame yet again? That's my prediction. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes I'm wrong here on this show. But to me, it doesn't matter which network it airs on. All that matters is the Fighting Irish are 7.5-point favorites are going to get upset outright by the Indiana Hoosiers, right? Notre Dame fans, you're not going to be happy with me, I guess, after that, but that's okay. All right, so let's go over to Lane Kiffin, who is back on social media. It's holiday time. Lane Kiffin did not get his team into the college football playoff, but felt that, he was maybe misquoted. Ross Dellinger on social media tweeted out on Sunday that I want to make sure everybody understands that we value strength of schedule in order to get into the college football playoff. Naturally, Mississippi has a very strong strength of schedule. They were knocked out, so was Alabama. Lane Kiffin goes on social media, and this is his account, by the way, because you can see the blue check and you can see the Ole Miss logo if you look really clear. Is this fake news? He didn't actually really say that, and also quote tweeted Alabama, the Crimson Tide there. Now, look, I think personally that Alabama should have got into the college football playoff. I'm very surprised that they didn't. But what's going to happen, no matter how many teams we have in the playoff, and I've seen this before, folks, I've been around since they had two teams and they voted at the end of the year, and it was the number one in the AP and the number one in the UPI, and those or two, and they just played against each other. I mean, that's the way it used to be. Then they had the BCS, and everyone complains no matter what. Folks, it's going to happen. If they go from 12 to 24, same thing is going to happen. NCAA tournament, people complain that they're not in the field of 64 or 68, whatever it is these days. So I get it. I understand it. Lane Kiffin, he's got to stump for his school. He's got to promote his players. But I'm just sorry. You're out. You know who else is out? This is a bowl game. I cannot believe that they're doing this year. Folks, the Game Above Bowl. Now, again, there's going to be a lot of different names for the bowl games this year. I'm not going to be able to tell you all of them. Pop-Tarts Bowl, Orange, Citrus. The Game Above Bowl is December 26th. Nothing wrong with that. I love bowl season. Toledo is going to be playing against Pitt on December 26th. Nothing against that, too. They enjoy a lovely Christmas. And then they play the day after at Ford Field in Detroit. Boy, what a destination. Now, again, if they had a team from Michigan playing in this thing, maybe that would make some sense. But University of Pittsburgh and the University of Toledo have to spend their Christmas in Michigan as opposed to like a nice weather bowl game and then have to play that thing. I guess it's good weather inside Ford Field because, again, there's there's heat probably on, I would assume, inside that dome. But I mean, to me, folks, sorry to say, worst destination for the bowl season. December 26th in Detroit, Michigan, Toledo versus Pitt. That will do it for our show here today. I want to thank everybody who appeared on the program, including our good friend Mark Zinno, talking some college football here on the show as well. As a reminder, we got some great programming coming up for you here on SportsGrid, which includes Pharrell Coast to Coast at 3 o'clock Eastern, getting you ready for all of the great NBA, NHL, and college basketball action. You better get ready for college basketball, folks, because college football is coming to an end here. Game time decisions, in-game live, and then Sports Rage tonight. That's the remaining schedule here on SportsGrid. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I'll see you back here tomorrow for our next edition of NewsWire. Thanks again to our director, Luke, and for my producer, Frank. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. See you then.